If you ever see a house glowing red on Christmas Eve, don't go inside, because once you cross that door, you become part of the story. Hit subscribe now, so you don't miss the nightmares waiting for you in every new story. Now, this is the tale of the house where Christmas never ended. The snow fell on the small town, muffling every sound. It was quiet, dead quiet. Three friends, Maya, Josh, and Trev, walked down a lonely street, their boots crunching in the fresh powder. The town glowed with cheerful Christmas lights, but at the end of their road stood a single house, dark and foreboding. All except for one window on the second floor, glowing a faint, sinister red as if lit from a fire within. Trev shivered, but not from the cold. He pointed at the house. "We should go in, just to prove the stories are fake." Maya shook her head, her voice tight. No one's lived there since the Christmas murders. Josh watched the red glow flicker, like a dying ember. He swallowed hard. He knew they shouldn't go. It was a stupid, reckless idea, but the fear of looking scared in front of his friends was stronger than his common sense. As they cautiously approached the rotting porch, the front door creaked open all on its own, revealing a deep, dark emptiness inside. It was an invitation. Stepping over the threshold, they were hit by a strange, stale air. Inside, everything was decorated for Christmas, but it was as if the family had just vanished mid-celebration. An opened gift sat under a dusty tree. A plate of cookies for Santa, now fossilized, rested on a small table. The tree lights were blinking, but the glow was dim, sickly. The fireplace was lit, but the flame was completely still, frozen in mid-motion, a silent, unmoving sculpture of fire. Maya's voice was a whisper. "This place isn't abandoned, it's stuck." Josh reached out and gently touched a glass ornament hanging from the tree. It didn't move. It didn't even shake on its string. It just stayed solid and unyielding, defying physics. Then they heard it, a single, clear music box note. Ding, a pause, then another ding. The sound was delicate, but it echoed through the silent house with terrifying clarity. It was coming from the upstairs hallway. Drawn by the sound, the three of them slowly climbed the grand staircase. With each step up, the temperature dropped. Their breath began to fog in the air, turning white. At the end of the long hallway was a children's bedroom. The door was ajar. Inside, fairy lights twinkled and stockings hung from the mantelpiece. And in the middle of the floor, a small wooden music box was spinning on its own, its lonely tune filling the room. As they stepped inside, the bedroom door slammed shut behind them with a deafening bang. The music box stopped instantly. The silence that followed was heavier, more suffocating than before. And then, a little girl's voice whispered from the corner of the room. "Mommy, they're back." Maya froze, her eyes wide with terror. Guys, that wasn't any of us. On the neatly made bed, a large stuffed teddy bear, its button eyes black and lifeless, slowly turned its head to look directly at them. The walls of the room suddenly flashed a brilliant, blinding red, and just as quickly the room wasn't empty anymore. A family appeared, their forms transparent and ghost-like, replaying the night they died. The parents were laughing, the children tearing open presents. A camera flashed, capturing a moment of pure joy. But then the front door downstairs burst open with a crash. A shadowy figure entered, long, thin, and wearing a cracked, smiling Santa mask. The ghost father tried to defend his family, but his punches passed straight through the intruder as if it were smoke. The masked figure pulled out a long, curved blade shaped like a candy cane. Maya whispered, her voice trembling. "We're watching what happened the night they died." The masked Santa lifted the blade high. The room flashed red again. The ghosts vanished. Silence returned. But then they heard footsteps echoing from downstairs. Slow, heavy, real footsteps. Josh looked at Maya and Trev, his face pale. That wasn't a memory. That was a warning. The footsteps reached the stairs and started climbing, one deliberate step at a time. The red light from outside turned the hallway the color of blood. Triv finally broke. "We need to run." But as they turned to flee, the house seemed to warp and twist around them. The hallway stretched into an impossible length before snapping back, and suddenly they were standing in the living room again. But things had changed. The stockings hanging from the fireplace were now bulging, filled with clumps of human hair, yellowed teeth, and torn bits of clothing. The framed family photo on the wall began to rewrite itself, the pixels shifting like sand. The faces in the picture morphed, becoming their own. Maya, Josh, and Truv smiling unnervingly from behind the glass. And beneath the photo, a new caption appeared in elegant script. "Christmas 2024. Our new guests." At the top of the stairs, the masked Santa appeared. It was the same figure from the ghostly replay, but now it was solid, real. It was breathing, its chest rising and falling slowly. It was watching them. It lifted the candy cane blade, which glinted in the dim red light. "Run," Maya screamed. They crashed through the kitchen, past a dining table that was now set for a feast. But there were 4 plates, one for each of them. They sprinted for the front door, but it slammed shut just as they reached it, the lock clicking into place. Josh screamed in frustration, beating his fists against the solid wood. The walls themselves seemed to bend inward, the ceiling lowering, making the room feel like a closing coffin. The tree lights pulsed in time with their frantic heartbeats. They turned, and the masked Santa was standing right behind them. They ran, upstairs, downstairs, back to the living room. It didn't matter. No matter where they went, the house kept looping them back to where they started. The geography made no sense. Maya collapsed, crying. "It's not a house, it's a trap." The masked Santa got closer, and closer, and closer. Its masked smile seeming to widen, it raised the blade. And then a blinding white flash, everything went silent. The next morning, snow fell peacefully on the quiet street. A police officer stood outside the house, sipping coffee and talking to his partner. "3 kids came in here last night," he said. "Neighbors saw them, but nobody's inside. We searched top to bottom, not even footprints in the dust." His partner stared up at the house. The window on the 2nd floor was glowing with that same faint red light. "Should we check it again?" The officer shook his head, a grim look on his face. "No, this house chooses who it lets in. And who it keeps." The camera slowly zooms in on the glowing red window. Inside, you can just make out faint silhouettes. 3 figures, Maya, Josh, and Triv standing perfectly still, their faces turned toward the window. Frozen in place, caught in an endless Christmas. If you enjoyed this story, hit like and subscribe to The Misery Man for more horrors. And remember, if you see a house glowing red on Christmas Eve, walk away fast.